All right, so we're going to get started. Good evening. This is Michelle Wenis of Green Woman and Your Childbirth, and I'm so excited to bring some really great resources and some, I think, very relevant topics to fellow families and our community. And I've spoken with each of these lovely ladies who is joining us, and we'll have somebody else join us later this evening. And I just felt they had something really important to share in their line of work, their experience, and I'm just really thrilled that they're joining us. So thank you very much, guys. Everyone's going to do a little 15-minute segment, and then we'll have everyone's information at the end. And so we are going to just, if you guys can just wave. So we have Sandy Schill. She's our family photographer. We have Jennifer Steiner. She's our certified holistic health coach and environmental specialist. We have Lorraine Jolly, our intuitive massage therapist. And then Chloe Langer will be joining us later. She's our estate planning attorney. So if we could start with Sandy, that would be great.
Hi.
Take it away. Do you want me to do a little intro, or you want to just jump in?
I could jump in and introduce myself.
Okay.
My name is Sandy Schill, and I own Sandra Lynn Photography. I am located in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and I have a commercial studio in Monroe, Connecticut that I just recently opened up, so I'm very excited about that. And as I said, I'm a family photographer, but I do specialize in maternity and newborns, which means I have taken special training for safety with newborns and posing women who are pregnant to accentuate their body, to show off their baby curves, and to help them pose so that they feel good about themselves. And with the newborns, with a newborn photographer, you definitely want somebody who is very conscious of safety with the babies. Some poses that you see out there, they're not, with the one with the baby with their hands on their chins, those are called composites. So you're not actually having the baby do that on their own, that there's safety protocols. So that's very important. If you're going to have somebody photograph your baby, you want them to be trained in that. But one of the things that are what I really wanted to talk about tonight, and something, Michelle, you and I have talked about at length, is a trend that I'm seeing as a family photographer. And it really makes me sad. Many times I have had women, moms, hesitant to have their picture taken. Or when they have their picture taken, they're not happy with the way they look. They're not happy with the pictures. And it makes me sad. As a mom myself, I have a daughter who's 17. As a mom myself, I love getting pictures with my daughter, and I want to encourage moms to do that. Someday you're not going to be around, and your children are going to want pictures of themselves with you. And it's sad when moms pick the pictures from their galleries, and they'll pick the pictures of the kids, they'll pick the pictures of the dad with the kids, but they won't pick pictures of themselves. And I want to encourage women to embrace themselves. You're beautiful just the way you are. You don't have to worry about those extra pounds or a few wrinkles. We all get them. It's important to have pictures of yourselves and with your kids. Kids want the photos of you. Maybe not now when they're 8 or 9, but 30 years from now, they're going to want pictures with you. So that's something that I would like to encourage women to think about.
That's awesome. So you mentioned there was a little legacy story in your
Oh, yes. I don't know if this will show up, but here's a picture. Can you see it, of my grandmother? This is her when she was about 2 years old. And the actual print, I had it recently archived in a frame with UV coating, etc. But the print itself is 110 years old. And it's so important to print your pictures too. We don't know what technology is going to be 110 years from now, but a print will always be accessible. A print is something you can always look at. You don't need electricity to look at a print.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my most prized possessions, is that print of my grandmother. So I also want to encourage people to take those pictures, have professional photographers take those pictures, not just the cell phone pictures, because all they do is sit in your cell phone. You want to have those prints around your house. You want to have them for future generations, and it's so important. It really is. I've heard people and other photographers say that this current generation of children are going to be called the JPEG kids.
Oh,
yes, JPEG kids, because their pictures are only as JPEGs and they never get printed. So it's very important also to print your pictures. Whatever medium you use, whether it's a professional photographer or even your phone, because if that phone dies and all those pictures are lost, you can't get those back.
And people keep thousands and thousands and thousands.
Right. Yes.
I know I do. Of photographs. And actually it did almost happen to me. No, it actually did happen. My phone, somebody hacked, a friend of one of my sons thought they would play and try to get into my phone, and they did. Apparently I had a really bad password set up. And so I set a really hard one up, and like within minutes I could not remember what it was.
Oh no.
And so I kept trying to get in, and they kept trying to get in, and you know what? It locked my phone.
Yep.
And I lost pictures of my dog. Who had videos.
Your fur babies.
Yeah, videos of my dog and like her last days with us.
Oh, that's sad.
So
nowadays, a lot of companies have apps that you can put on your phone and you can print right from there. So,
yeah, but who does that? So I think we need people like you to, you know what I mean? Because, and then maybe maybe we can have you come back another time and just talk to us about, because just even you're bringing up the whole newborn photography and the safety. Like I never would have thought that. I'm just like, wow, what a good baby.
Yes. No, they don't all sleep so readily.
Yeah,
there's a lot of tricks.
Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense that you need somebody who really has that background.
Yep.
And also I would just think, I'll just print it on paper, but I'm sure you can talk, to all different kinds of paper, and some paper that will preserve well or not. So
yep.
Anyway, I would love to, okay, we have a couple more minutes. So
okay.
I wouldn't put you on the spot, but I think I will. Because I think we talked about it a little bit, and anyone who wants to maybe step in, how do you think we got here where we didn't want our pictures taken anymore? Because it was pretty common. I have a whole wall in my dining room of photographs of my mom, and family pictures seem to be a pretty big thing. If you go to a museum, there are always these family photographs, and you could tell they would just sit there for hours at a time until the photo was taken, right? Because of technology. But what's changed, and have you seen it change over a certain amount of time? Or
yes. Yep, definitely. If you look back, say 30 years ago, most photographers, first of all, were men. And most pictures were taken by professional photographers where you would go to a studio, very traditional, or go to like a JCPenney or someplace like that and get pictures. Nowadays, with the advent of the phone and the fancy cameras, the DSLRs being a lot more affordable, and having entry-level cameras available that do take nicer pictures, a lot of people are taking more of their own pictures. They're not necessarily going to professionals, and a lot of women have started taking more pictures, and they tend to be the one behind the camera taking the pictures of everybody else, and they don't necessarily hand the camera to dad or somebody else to get in the picture. But I think also too, it has a lot to do with with social media and things being online and a lot more public viewing of your pictures, that people have become more self-conscious. How do I look? Do I have the wrinkles? Do I have the extra pounds? I mean, this past fall, I had a mom approach me about a family session, and she said, I would like you to take pictures of my children for the fall. And I said, well, what about you? And she says, oh, no, I don't want to be in the pictures. And she was a little on the heavy side. And I stopped and I looked at her and I said, you are beautiful just the way you are. your children are going to want pictures of you someday, and all they're going to see is the mom who loved them and hugged them and kissed their boo-boos and read stories. And she started to cry. I mean, this woman tears are just pouring down her face. And she ended up doing the family session with me, and she got in the pictures, and I said to her husband, make sure she picks at least one picture she's in. And she did. And I was very happy for her. I was very happy. But I think because a lot of things have become so much more public nowadays with social media and Facebook and Instagram, that I think that they feel that they have to be perfect, that everybody appears so perfect on social media that they have to follow that standard. And I think it's hard on people.
Yeah.
They have to have the perfect clothes. Everybody has to be outfitted perfectly, but you don't. It's life. Life is messy. Life is crazy, and that's okay.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, we all know about that. Okay, when you take the picture, it's got to be up high, and you've got to put the chin.
Don't take a picture up your nose. Hold the camera up.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, thank you so much. I would love to have all of you guys come and just do your own segment and talk for longer, because I think it is so important. And you're right. I think now we have to take. I mean, last thing is, so my husband, I always tease him because I'm like, hon, the pictures on your Facebook page are of your favorite beer and usually hiking. And I'm like, and he's like, but you don't ever let me post any pictures of you,
Yeah.
So
No, you have to
let me check. Let me just make sure. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's so interesting. So I know, Sandy, that you have to head out. You have to family things this evening. So did anyone have any questions for her right before she had to pop off? And then I'll have her information also at the end, so you guys can.
Yep. If anybody's interested in finding out more about my services, they can email me or call me on the information you've given.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll have you back soon.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so that brings us to Jennifer Steiner.
I'm next.
Right, you are next.
Hey.
Oh, no, wait. I think I got. Bear with me. I'm going to gallery. So I think once you start speaking, Jen, it'll just be on to you, I think. Right? And so then I can focus on just having you on the screen. So why don't you go ahead, and I'll do the same as I did with Sandy. Just have you introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, I just kind of want to go off what just Sandy was talking about, because I just got back from a trip from Florida and took a family photo and realized that it's really the only family we have left. And it was really cool to have. So and that's why I think that's very important to always keep that. And, yeah. So I'm all for what you guys.
Yeah, we're going to get you crying before you speak. I'm sorry. I know. I was trying not to. Sandy was getting me all teary. I was like, oh, no. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. So you just want me to just
go into your spiel. Yeah, you've got an incredibly long title that I don't want to botch up without reading. So, I mean, it's all really good stuff. So.
Okay. So, yeah. So again, my name is Jen Steiner, and I'm a certified holistic health coach and environmental health specialist. And I primarily work with couples during preconception to help limit their exposure to different chemicals that are found in everyday products. They're finding that a lot of these chemicals, and we'll kind of get into why this is a problem, but we're finding that a lot of these chemicals can cross over the placenta and affect that child in the womb. Mm. So they're born basically pre-polluted with chemicals in their system before they're even hitting the ground running. So we want to limit that exposure. So I help them just by making small baby steps over time to limit that exposure, to choose safer products. Everything from food and water to cleaning supplies to personal care products to furnishings to toys, you name it, to the crib, to the mattress, everything. We cover it all just to help them make safer choices to protect the health of their family. So even though that's my primary focus is for young kids, this can go for anyone. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're a mom, if you're not a mom, if you don't want to be a mom, it doesn't matter your age. To make safer choices, it's never too late to do. So that's what I help them do. And I wanted to kind of focus on children just because they're such a vulnerable, you know, they're developing and they don't develop with all these chemicals.
They're so new. Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to share about the misdiagnosis that you had mentioned to me?
Yeah, that's what started the whole thing. So
I'm glad because I put it on the flyer that you were going to. So that works out.
I always share this story because I think a huge misconception about whether it's something that we're ingesting, inhaling, or absorbing, that it's not necessarily going to affect us. That, you know, I always hear, oh, I've been using that for years. Nothing's happened to me yet.
Oh.
Okay, well, not yet. And that's what happened in my case. So for years, I was using a certain chemical in food because I thought it was healthy. I was staying away from sugar. And that ingredient was aspartame, which is an artificial sweetener, which actually has a neurotoxin in the body. So what happened, it started to affect my brain. It affected my central nervous system. And I was misdiagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
It was 13 months of trying to figure out what was going on. You know, I'm all the doctors are like, yep, you got MS. And I'm like, no. Like I knew my gut was telling me no. And I had a friend send me an article regarding the sweeteners, and it listed, you know, just some other symptoms of headache and stomach issues and things like that. But it also stated that it can that it can cause symptoms of MS. Wow. And I stopped that day. And after 13 months of slurring my words and having trouble walking and
wow, Jen,
everything, after 13 months of that stopping, a week and a half later, I was fine. So once I stopped that coming in, the things that we have in place to detoxify the body weren't so beat up and weren't so overwhelmed that my body was able to detox and able to regain my health. And that's what really started the whole process of first learning about what was in food. But then I started learning about shampoo and cosmetics and products. And I thought food made me angry about, you know, it's like learning about all this other stuff, and really incredible. So what, you know, this is a problem. A lot of the laws in the United States don't require ingredients, these chemicals in everyday products, to be tested for safety.
So not even just not listed, but not even tested.
Not even, so they may not necessarily have to be listed because of labeling laws, but they don't have to even be tested for safety.
Wow.
Europe is different. Here, it doesn't matter. So we're all guinea pigs, basically. And so, you know, what this is doing, you know, so that's the problem, basically. It's that these laws aren't going to change. They're not going to change soon. I've testified in Hartford to try to get chemicals out of cleaning or out of children's products. It ain't going to change soon. It's not. But that's okay because we have control.
Right. You can start like with what you're doing, talking to families and things like that. People.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Okay, and we're finding what that problem is doing. Because those laws aren't in place, we know that it's causing a lot of different health issues. Everything from obesity, there's chemicals that are linked to weight gain. They're everything to learning disabilities, attention deficit, cancer, you name it. There's chemicals that have that potential of affecting us like that. So that's what the deal is. So what we can do here is start to make changes. We can do it on our own. The laws aren't going to change, but we can do it on our own. So we want to really start just paying attention to what we're being exposed to. What are we using? What is Windex? Like, what is Windex? You know, you don't really think of this because we think that everything that's sold is safe, and that's not necessarily the case. So, so what we can do is first start paying attention. But if I'm gonna give one tip today. If we can change one thing in our homes to pay attention to right now, just one thing, it would be the use of plastic. So whether we're storing our food in plastic, whether we're drinking anything out of plastic, start paying attention to that. Whether it's a BPA plastic, we've all heard about BPA and the health effects of that. Even if it's not a BPA, all plastic does have an estrogenic compound in it.
Oh, so BPA is not enough, basically, is what you're saying. BPA free, rather.
Well, BPA free, and this is what happens a lot when it comes to these chemicals. So BPA free, there's a whole uproar in the 90s with sippy cups, and everyone was like, we don't want BPA. And the companies were like, okay, we're not going to give you BPA. What they did was replace that bisphenol A with BPF or BPS. So they just replaced one with another. So BPA is not safe either. So, but even if it's not a BPA plastic, it could be another, whatever the makeup of the plastic, they all have an estrogenic compound. So let's limit that. We don't want raised estrogen levels, which makes us more susceptible to breast cancer, ovarian cancer, so let's limit that if we can. Use glass instead. You can go to Target and buy a whole batch of glass containers for like $10, $12.
Mason jars are kind of cute, right? Mason jars?
Yeah, well, that's...
Oh, there we go. Look at mine.
You can drop this down a flight of stairs and it won't break.
Really?
Oh.
I might break mine.
Right. And even with kids, there's some, food grade stainless steel that you can get as well to make it safer for kids. So if that's one thing that you're going to take from this, just start paying attention to plastic. And then whatever changes you make from there, it's just about making baby steps. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Don't try to do everything overnight. Pay attention to one thing and then start to make the change.
I love that, Jen. And I thought maybe you were going to focus on, like I was ready to raise my hand and say, oh, food or, cleaning products. But you were so specific, just plastic. If you think about it, it's like an everything, right?
Right. And it's not, it's more of looking at, if we're going to be storing our food in it, anything hot or acidic, we've all had that Tupperware with spaghetti.
Oh, yeah, the stain, right.
You can't wash that out. That's opened up, kind of closed back up. Those have leached in. But the perfect alternative is glass. And whatever it is, we have an alternative to everything. Everything. So just know that. Don't worry about what you can't control. Only worry about what you can.
Well, so can I, you have a couple more minutes, and so I wanted to ask you a question, and again, sorry to put you on the spot, but I think you'll do great.
I can have this all day.
Okay, so I call you, ring-a-ling-a-ling, and I want to start somewhere, but I don't want to be completely overwhelmed. Like, you can just imagine if people started thinking of everything that I don't even know how you carry all that with, like, on you, knowing all this stuff. So how do you work with people? Like, how do you have them, where do they start, so they're not overwhelmed?
Right. Well, I first start with a consultation to see what their main concern is.
Okay.
So then we kind of go from there. We work in segments, so we don't pile everything on at once because we don't want to feel overwhelmed. When I first started learning about this, I was overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, change it all, clean it all out, get it out. We can't take that approach. We just have to make small changes over time. If it takes you a year or 2 years to make changes, that's okay. It's about limiting your exposure where you can. So it's just focusing on one thing at a time. And typically, like I have a 12-week program where we kind of cover everything. It all depends on the client where they want to start.
You can change the order, but you have the basic kind of outline of everything.
Exactly. What's important to them that they want to change.
All right. And then 1 minute. What are typical things to look out for? You said keep your eyes open, right? So let's say, I don't know if I can use the word, I don't want to use a certain word because I have to be compliant. But let's say, what are some telltale things to look out for? Like, are there behavioral things? Like for you, there was a health thing that was going on, your slurry speech and everything. I mean, because we have a lot of children and who are around us, and we're just trying to kind of keep up with everything that's going on. Is it the media? Is it this? But are there things to look out for just in general in our own families, like behavior-wise, or just practices or habits or things like that? Or is that hard? Is that kind of loaded?
It kind of all depends, but we don't, some of these symptoms can be acute and it could be something that happens immediately. So I had worked with someone who was having severe congestion. headaches, a lot of like throat issues, a lot of respiratory stuff going on. And that's pretty immediate. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's something that you see right away. It wound up coming to be plugins, the fragrance that they had, like the scented candles and the Glade plugins. So there's some immediate symptoms that you can look out for, that, headaches, maybe stomach issues, things like that. But like I said earlier, some of these symptoms can take years to manifest.
It'll build up, yeah.
So not get to that point, but not find out if it is going to affect us. Let's nip it in the bud, and hey, if we have an alternative, let's not get to that point that we find out that it does make us sick.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's so exciting. I mean, you and I have talked a bunch before, and we've tried to do some things together. So we've got to keep that up because, there's so much exciting stuff there. I mean, so this is really bringing family resources together, things I think that are so important. And so far, I think we've got some great things we've talked about today. So thank you. And we will also put your information up at the end. So Chloe, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Over here. So Chloe, what I've been doing with the first two speakers is just say, go on in and just jump in. Tell us about yourself so that I give you the time. And then if there are questions later, hopefully you can just.
Sure, great. Well, hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Chloe Langer, and I am an estate planning attorney and probate attorney in Woodbury, Connecticut. So Michelle has asked me to talk a little bit about what I do, as well as just the basics of estate planning. It can be really scary words, I think, for people when they hear estate plan. It's like, what does that mean? What is that all about? And I'm just here to kind of break it down for you and actually make it less scary. Well, it's been my experience that people either fall into two categories. The first one being, as soon as an important life event happens, they run out and say, okay, we got to make our will. And then when other life events start to happen and, they want to make updates to their will. And, those major life events would be marriage, having a baby, getting a new job, retirement, a death in the family, perhaps. And then the other school of folks tend to be completely afraid and just don't ever want to address it. So really it runs the gamut. There's very little in between, I'll be honest. And what I always try to say to people, just to kind of diffuse the situation, if you are 39, you probably need an estate plan. And if you're 93, it's still not too late. But, again, what is an estate plan? So basically my job is to work with financial planners, insurance brokers, accountants, and my clients to figure out how they want their assets to go and be handled during life, as well as how they would want them to be handled upon their passing. And the reason why you want to have a will, I think there's a lot of misconception out there. Some people think that when they do get married, that their assets will automatically go to their spouse. Or if they have a child, okay, if something were to happen to me, everything I own will automatically go to my child. And that's actually not necessarily true. I can speak to how Connecticut law works, and basically if you die without a will in Connecticut, these statutes, the laws of intestacy they're called, will control. So the very sort of basic example is that, and people are often surprised by this, is that the first $100,000 of your estate, which may sound like a lot, but when you start to think about what you have an ownership interest in, such as a home, or if you are a business owner, you own your own business, a car, if you have any life insurance policies, all of these things comprise your estate. So the first $100,000 plus 1/2 of the balance would go to your spouse, and your children would inherit the rest. If you die with parents living, they would be entitled to a certain portion of your estate. So some people are surprised by that because it actually means, well, gee, I wouldn't really want my kids to get 1/2 and my spouse to only get 1/2. you know. So that's kind of where I come into play. And an estate, what that means are all the assets you own when you die, and any asset that you would then want to leave to children, to your spouse, to charities, to a religious organization, or to the government. If some of us are so lucky to have such large estates where the government will take some taxes. And what your will controls would be any assets you own in your own name. And those would be the only assets controlled by your will. So when people say they're going through their loved one's probate, they're going through the process of probate after the loved one has passed, that means that, the will has been filed with probate, and now the solely owned assets are going through the probate process, transferring out of the person's name and over to the beneficiaries. But any asset that you own jointly with another individual will automatically pass to the joint account holder. And any asset that requires a beneficiary designation, such as a life insurance policy or a retirement plan, that will automatically pass to the beneficiary that you've named. People are often surprised by that too, because inevitably you may, for instance, I'll give you an example. I had a client just the other day. They're in, to meet with me. It's their second marriage for both of them. And when I kind of broke this down, the husband suddenly went white as a ghost and said, "Oh, I think I have a retirement plan that still names my ex-wife." So of course his new spouse was not very happy to hear this. But even if he had put in his will, all retirement plans go to my new wife, actually the beneficiary designation in that retirement plan would control. So the ex-spouse would have received everything. So oftentimes this process is really just a chance to take a good hard look at all the ugly details that nobody wants to think about, and make sure you've got all your ducks in a row. So for instance, if you do want everything to go to your spouse, you will want your probate documents to line up, which would be your will, as well as any beneficiary designations or joint accounts. Additionally, the will can provide very specifics, such as who you would want to name as guardian of your children in the event, God forbid, and I knock on wood all day long. I have like blisters on my knuckles from knocking on wood for my clients. But unfortunately, in my line of work, we do have to talk about these ugly, yucky things. And certainly, dying before our time is not one we like to think about, but it is something you have to think about when you have children. And it's often the thing that people get hung up on. And that's why they don't really ever want to go through with it, because the minute you start to think about it, you sort of stop and say, I don't want to think about this. I'm going to put that away, stuff it down. It'll sneak in at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you'll stuff it away. So that's something that we can work through together in our meetings. Another misconception is that people feel like trusts are really just for the super wealthy. And I can tell you that they're not, actually. More and more people these days are opting to include a trust within their estate plan. I work very closely with a lot of people who have children with special needs, for example, and that would be a reason to have a trust. For instance, if you have a child with special needs or a loved one with special needs, and that person may be eligible for some sort of state aid or state benefits, you would want to protect their share or their inheritance from, potentially making them uneligible for state benefits. So we would set up what's called a special needs or supplemental needs trust. Also, some people just don't like the idea of their, 21-year-old son coming into $50,000, for example, and they think, he's going to run off to the nearest Ferrari store or whatever. So we will often put some assets in trust for kids until they reach a certain age. We stagger those ages. They get a certain amount at 25, they get a certain amount at 30, and so forth. Oftentimes people will use trust if they have a beneficiary who really can't control their money. We call it like a spendthrift person, kind of an old-fashioned word. But if you have a loved one that as soon as that dollar bill hits their hand, it's spent, then maybe you would want to consider leaving his or her share in a trust, really for their own protection, during life. So I sort of meet with people and they start to think about these things and they think, oh yeah, my son is in a risky business. I wouldn't want him to inherit his share outright. I'd like to protect it for him somewhat. Or, my daughter's in a risky marriage. I would not want to think that, God forbid, they're going through some sort of divorce situation. So that's oftentimes where trusts come into play. And those are the basic components of, documents that we use when you die, to put it bluntly. But there are also important documents that we put in place for your life, such as you may have heard the term power of attorney. And this is when you select someone to sort of handle financial matters on your behalf in the event you're unable to take care of them yourself. And similarly, we do healthcare directives, where you will name a healthcare representative to take care of your medical decisions in the event you're unable to. And that would include a living will, which is the opportunity now during life, while you're able to let your loved ones know how you would want end-of-life decisions to be made. So that's the basic framework. We basically do a will, power of attorney, healthcare directives, and if necessary, we work a trust into the mix. So really not so scary at the end of the day.
Well, Chloe, I have to say that I might fall into that second category of people you talked about.
Most people do, Michelle.
Yeah. So, but I have to say that just you could be talking about this and it's like you're telling a bedtime story. You listen all night, like, oh, that's so relaxing to think about now, But so let's say somebody, and Eric and I are planning to sit down with you. Sometimes I think of like, all right, when you're buying a house, let's say you get that realtor who's like, well, any questions, just ask me. But you've never purchased a house before, so you have no idea what questions to ask. So do people go to you just feeling completely blind to everything, and then
absolutely
you just kind of put the pieces together for everybody?
Absolutely. And so, a lot of this is like legal mumbo jumbo. And, again, it's that sort of area of life that we're not comfortable thinking about.
Death.
So why would you want to have, it's like death, taxes, money, all the stuff that's like verboten in life that we're taught not to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to be very accommodating to my clients. I'll meet with them at a coffee shop, in their home. Perhaps one spouse may come to see me first to kind of feel it out and then say, okay, I think I can get my wife here, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And really, we just have a discussion. I like to get to know my clients, to understand what sort of matters to them. And then we just sort of break it down. And often the first meeting is a little overwhelming. So I usually like to do a follow-up letter of homework, things that you need to think about and that maybe you hadn't considered before the meeting, and what all the components are, what an executor would do versus a trustee, for example. People often ask, well, can I have the same person serve in all those roles? Certainly you may, Can you have a different person? Absolutely. Really the questions ultimately aren't legal ones. It's just kind of addressing the stuff that we don't want to think about. So once we kind of lift that cloud and it becomes a little clearer, then certainly people feel better moving forward. And clients always feel great once the documents are done, signed, sealed, and they don't ever have to think about it. I always say to clients, don't call me unless you win the lottery or you have children or something, and a major life event happens. Then we can look at things.
So Chloe, we have just 1 minute actually, and so what about do people address their other family, like pets? Your beloved furry friends or feathery ones or what have you. So.
Yep, absolutely.
That's all part.
I actually, it's a great question. People often will address pets. We do pet trusts. We have pet provisions that we put in wills. We do a lot of different things. I kind of gave the basic framework, but we We'll also set up charitable trusts for people if they're very philanthropic and perhaps they want to leave the bulk of their estate to a charity or their church. I work closely with a lot of charitable organizations that can set up funds for people so they can leave their assets, in the name of a fund. Like I just, coincidentally, you mentioned pets. A woman is leaving the bulk of her estate to the ASPCA in the name of her beloved pets. Chloe, as a matter of fact. It was a little weird.
Oh, so you cut out those last few moments. But so Chloe, I have your email and your phone number at the end of the meeting. I'm going to put that up for everybody, and then I can of course cycle them back to reaching out to me, and I can get them in touch with you guys. But so you're welcome to hang out for the last 15-minute segment, or if you want to run, talk about that. But so thank you so much, and
thank you for having me.
We're going to jump into our next speaker, which is Lorraine. Hi.
Hello.
Your turn. We saved you for last. Don't you love the pressure?
I do, but I have to tell Chloe first, the most scariest word that she said was homework for me.
Oh, yeah, I got that one too.
My name is Lorraine Jolly, and I'm an intuitive massage therapist and energy worker in Waterbury, Connecticut. And I guess mostly I want to talk about energy today. And the thing with that is that past experiences or current traumas can cause energy blockages, or what we call energy cysts in the body. Now, when I say trauma is like it can be pain, it can be a disturbance, distress in the body, and sometimes in the mind, right? And we're all made up of energy. So to explain what will help you understand more in relation to what I'm going to talk to in a little bit about is things that you can kind of relate to. So say you go and you turn on your lamp one day and it's flickering, and you're like, all right, and the next day you turn it on and it's working okay. And you're like, what the heck is going on? So you go look at the cord, and the cord has a splice in it, right? So the energy, right, the electricity, the energy is not flowing to the light. So at some points where it's on totally, the energy is being able to find its way around that splice. And other days it's disrupted, and that's where you're seeing all this flickering. But at some point, most likely, the light's going to go out, right? Because there's an energy, there's a cutoff in the energy to the lamp. And the other explanation would be a hose, right? When you get the kink in the hose, at one end the water's not coming out, or it's trickling, so you'd have like a deficiency on that end. But the other end, it would be excessive, and it would be the water would be running really hard into that kink in the hose, right? So on that side it would be excessive, and at some point it would be so powerful, that energy of water would be so powerful that it would probably find a weak spot in the hose and start leaking in some other direction. So what I've studied is Eastern acupressure, which is called Jin Shin Do. And the premise of that is that we have energy centers in our body, and they're called meridians. So and those meridians are connected to each one of our organs, and to those organs are connected different types of emotions. So let's take, for instance, the heart, and so these energy centers are also paired in the body. So let's take the heart and the small intestine, for instance. Those are circuits, paired circuits in your body. So if in the heart you had a deficit where you had some kind of energy block that wasn't getting to the heart, or the energy wasn't flowing efficiently, what would happen is it would then cause the energy to find its peer, which is the small intestine. So you'd have a deficiency in the heart, and you'd have excessive energy in the small intestine. And the emotions that would come with that would be self-doubt, depression, sadness. And on the other side of it is if if the heart had a positive or an excessive amount of energy, right, then the small intestine would be the one with the deficiency, pushing the energy now coming to that circuit and over stimulating the heart, right, where you might have restlessness, you might have hysteria, anxiety, that type of thing. Okay, so with that, and I've worked maybe 13 years with many, many people, and I think that there are three experiences in life that I think are most important for having energy work / massage, right? One would be if you're trying to get pregnant and you can't. One would be if you are pregnant, and the other would be if you have children, right? So
just in general, if you have children, it doesn't matter what stage you need a massage.
No, it doesn't matter what stage. It doesn't at all. And I mean, obviously, when they're younger, it's better, right? That you go from getting energy work as you're pregnant, right, through that cycle, and then afterwards as well. So women, as we know, women are always, and probably for centuries and maybe since the beginning of time, have been taking care of other people, right? They're always, their needs are always last, okay? So it's, what happens is at the time of the junction in your life, right, that you're pregnant or that you have had a child, it's time to change that learned behavior, all right? And the reason for that is that a child feels everything that a mother feels. So it feels all the emotions, it feels all the pain, right? So, and so what happens with that is that if the child's, and I think too that, that there is no stronger energetic connection than a mother and their child, even when that umbilical cord is cut, right? The bond of energy is incredible. And so if a baby feels the emotion of the mom, then the way I see it is the emphasis of well-being should be on the mom, right? And a mother goes through so many emotion. It goes through emotional roller coaster, right? Somebody was talking about roller coasters before. Mothers go through so many emotional, the emotional roller coasters. It could be from fatigue or being uncomfortable, or the stress of just the life change, right? The life change to their body, the life change once the baby is here. So, I guess. And what happens is when the mother's energy is balanced, then the child's energy is balanced. And then that child can bring that into the world, you know, into their world, right? Because then they learn what balance is. So I guess what I'm not trying to put responsibility on a mother, like you're responsible now, you know, for everything that goes on with your child with emotions. But if a mom can learn and know what it is to have balanced energy, then what happens is that they get to know what is get to know what is out of balance, right? So when they're out of balance, they become quicker back into balance. And that allows both of that, both the mother and the child to be able to go through life with more ease and peacefulness and that type of thing. Not that you're going to have that 24/7, 7 days a week, but knowing balance and coming out of balance, you see that, you see the difference, or you feel the difference. And so you strive to get back there. And each time you get back there quicker and quicker. So the standard becomes the balance rather than the unbalance, right? And my work helps moms know that. That helps them to know that that place, and teaches them that they have the right to feel that way, and the child has a right to feel that way. It's kind of like your birthright, right? That we're never really taught. So, so that's basically what I do and what I feel about mothers and pregnancy and energy and balance.
So that's awesome. What I'm getting, and tell me if I'm missing it here, but it's just that awareness, right? So you're able to bring them to that awareness. So like a non-judgment thing, but just kind of like, I'm here versus here. This is where I'd rather be. Is that kind of what so kind of getting them more in touch with maybe whatever emotions are healthier for them, right? And then you just help kind of facilitate that. Is that right?
Well, it's more about allowing them to know what relaxation is. And what balance feels like, right? Because we don't learn about balancing the energy, right? Or balancing emotions. We don't learn that, right? But if we can feel what that feels like in balancing the energy in the body, and that usually takes an energy worker to help open up those blockages, those what we sometimes call energy cysts, right, that block the energy. And when the energy opens up, then they can really truly feel what it feels like to be in balance, so that when they come out of balance, they know that feeling and want to get back to it. Versus if we don't know the difference, we don't even know we're out of balance, right? Does that answer what you?
Yeah. Well, so I have another question. We have a couple of minutes. So does it, in your experience, does it feel similar? Not exactly the same necessarily, because I know we're all different, but would balance for me in general with the whole energy thing feel similar to somebody else? So that as an energy worker, would you say, oh, this person is here? Or like, it's fascinating to me, because I've gotten massages before, but I think the intuitive part is, I'm very curious about that part. Like,
I'm not sure I'm following the question. What's the question? So
the question, I think, is when you're doing your work, so let's say you're working with person A and person B. Let's say person A has achieved, in the work that she's been doing with you, achieved that place of balance.
Right.
Would that feel similar to the other person's experience of balance to you and then to them? Like, do we all feel kind of balanced in a similar way?
I would say yes. I would say yes because and the one thing I forgot to mention is that, so when we were talking about the heart and the small intestine, right, that being in balance, right, those emotions, when it is in balance, is joy, is confidence, is compassion. So all of the emotions basically would be the same. So I guess to answer that question, yes, it would feel the same for everybody. But, joy can come in different facets and that type of thing. So there might be some slight differences, but I guess I never look at it from I always consider it an individualized session, right? But more so probably from the standpoint of what is blocked and how long it's going to take somebody to get to that place of balance and that type of thing. But I would answer your question to say, yes, I think it's all it would come down to all the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at 8:30. Woohoo. Well, so I'm so grateful to all of you guys and Sandy, who was here earlier, and Annette, you made it on the call. I had a few people who wanted to join us, so I'm glad we're recording this and so that I can share it. I mean, Chloe knows a lot of people with kids. 7:30 is not an easy time.
It's the witching hour.
It is, which starts somewhere around 4 o'clock and ends when we finally cork off. But so this has been so fun and so exciting for me, because over the time that I've been just very, very fortunate to work with pregnant moms and moms of babies, I've met resources who were either my clients or resources that we found for my clients. And to be able to bring those resources to them, I feel like it has to be done, you know? So I love that people can, because I can talk to them and say, oh, you should talk to Jen about this or Lorraine about that, and it's an idea, but until you meet that person and really kind of hear what they have to say and maybe connect with what they have to say, it's just sort of up there in the clouds. And so I'm really hoping to invite you guys back and, you know, and maybe just, I think there's so much that we all have to share in our different fields. So I love this, and I hope you guys are all willing to come back and share. Share more of what you do and also your individual perspectives, you know. So we don't just do what we do because, oh, this landed in our lap, but all of us, I think, has a little, there's something that and maybe called to is sort of a difficult word for some people, but for me, I think so. You know, you feel like you're just in the right place with what you do. So I'm so excited to send this out. And I know there've been a lot of views. I share this on Facebook and a lot of clicks to see, oh, what does Lorraine do? What does Chloe do? And all this stuff. So I'm going to need some of you guys to just let me know the best times to come back. And this has been great. So I'm very, very grateful to you guys for coming, and I could talk for
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. So I guess if anyone has okay, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm going to share the screen, and I want to share everyone's contact information. And Chloe, I hope I have this because I hope I don't miss any numbers. Please correct me. You're the only one I didn't get to ask, but this is everyone's contact information, website, phone number, and then for Chloe, just put your email.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
Okay. And then obviously you guys, I will be sharing this on my newsletter and my website, www.greenwomanYC.me. I have a Facebook page. I'm going to try to remember. It's the longest name ever. I seem to pick very, very long names for everything. It's Little Seed Program - prenatal baby and me bonding with Michelle Wenis, because I don't know, I couldn't just pick a short name.
Oh my God. You mean you picked the
yeah, I have to take notes. I don't know how I memorized it. But anyway, so I'll be posting that on, and I think you guys have this information too. So we'll get this out there on video and make sure that you reach everybody that wanted to join tonight. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.
Yeah, have a great one. Bye-bye.